All right, let's get into this then. Game week 2, weekend wrap up. I think this game week for me, watching everything after the games, hearing people talk sport and everything that I'm watching right now, I think this game week sums up football because you go from thinking one thing after 1 week and then all of a sudden another result happens and everything completely changes. So I think this game week totally sums up the game of football, and it's a week-to-week basis. It's a reactionary business, and things can change in one game completely. So let's start with City Spurs, because I watched that at 12:30 on Saturday, and I think, there's been a lot said about it and everything, but kind of going to go through my thoughts. I thought Spurs found it really hard to get out in kind of the first 25 minutes. I thought City started off really well. I think there was a drop-off when Ake has to come on for Nori. I thought as soon as Ake had to come on there against Kudus, I thought, that's a weak link there in City's squad and their squad depth, which we'll look at in a second. With everything, I thought they had high energy City to start with. I thought Reinders looked good. He looked positive again, kind of first 10, 15, 20 minutes, like I say. And then Spurs go ahead and get that goal, and I just think City completely lost their way. There just doesn't seem to be that style, that zip on the ball, that energy, that feeling to them on the ball. I think last season we would all say the big problem was off the ball, and they looked very open, and they looked old, and they looked like they were struggling to kind of get after people. I didn't think they looked as bad as that today. Didn't think they looked as bad as that on Saturday. But the thing that would be most worrying for me if I was Pep was the on-the-ball stuff. That is literally Guardiola. We talk about the goal where Trafford plays the ball out. Nico Gonzalez checks in. Fuck knows what he's doing there. Trafford gives him the ball. There's absolutely no reason to do that. He's not going to win you league titles. It sounds like they've pretty much agreed a deal with Donnarumma, so we'll see if they'll get that over the line with PSG for the fee. I'm sure they will. Donnarumma is a lot better than Trafford. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's amazing. I think he's better, but I don't think it's like a massive upgrade where you're like, oh shit, that's going to be the one for them. I think that would have been a better upgrade for like United and City for where they're at and where they're trying to get to. So that was just poor. That just isn't what you see from a Pep team. And Pep did say that in his press conference. The big thing that they struggled with were doing the simple things under pressure. And I've put on my notes, like, it's bang on. It's not like them not to be able to play out the back, not to be able to get the ball down, not to be able to get it going on the ball. It was just, it was just bizarre. And like I say, it sums up the season because they go to Wolves last weekend. They pumped them 4-0. And I think, and we'll talk about this with Arsenal and Leeds as well, this is where, when I'm trying to do this, you have to look at the team that the other team beats and be like, where are they really going to be come the end of the season? And of course, teams can surprise you and do well, and you hit teams in form and when teams are on momentum. But Wolves are going to finish towards the bottom end of the table. They're going to be down in and around the mix. I think they could get pulled in potentially to relegation battle, but they're going to be down there in the mix. City should still be in and amongst the top four, right? Whether or not they're going to challenge for the title, but they should be in and amongst the top four. So for me, yeah, it was a great result. They look sharp. They look great. I tipped them to win the league in my season predictions before the season started. But everyone just pump your brakes. I used to think that coaching, like you start to get an idea for the teams in your league, and if you go and pump a team 5-4, 6-0 or whatever it was, even with the kids level, the parents would be buzzing. I'd be knowing in my head, we should be beating that team. We're a higher level than that team in this league. And that's what Wolves were for City, and that's why it was an interesting test for City to come up against Spurs and Thomas Frank, who are a really good manager. Before we move on to Spurs, let's just have a little look. A FootMob does a really cool thing on here where it has a momentum graph. I don't know how they judge that, but I'm a big fan of momentum in football. I think it's huge. You can see when Spurs get the 2 goals here, they've kind of got full momentum. The momentum kind of really is with Spurs from about 55 minutes, 50 minutes, all the way up until about 63. And it did feel like Spurs should have gone on and get a third goal in that moment in time. But you've got the momentum graph there. We see the stats: 61% for City, no shock there, 39%. City get 10 shots, Spurs have 12. Big chances, they've said. City have got 2, Spurs have got 3. But I just wanted to go down and have a little look at City and the squad. The players that come on: Bernardo Silva, good player, getting a bit older. Doku, for me, just all flash, not a lot of final end product. I thought Doku would be good, but Pep's not been able to turn him into really anything with final end product, and that's what I'm going to get into in a second with City. Foden comes back on, he's looking for form. Rodri is a huge boost to them. Like I said, I think Ake is probably a bit of a weak link in there, but You look at that City squad, Trafford and goal, nah, I do like Aït-Nouri signing. I think that's decent. Ruben Diaz I like. Stones is great when he's fully fit and can play. Rico Lewis has moments where he's good, but has he really pushed on to be like really, really class and the level that we've seen from City with like Cancelo and Walker there? I would say no. Marmoush, I think, has been a good signing. Has he kind of dipped off a little bit towards the end of last season into now and kind of finding his regular level? Yeah, I don't like Nico Gonzalez. Give him time, obviously. Reinders, I think, will be decent. Sherky, questions out. Oscar Bob looked good. And we know we've got the big man up top.